I'll be quick. We've got a beat-up locker room, probably the most injuries I can remember in the first half. And then they just took it to us in the second half. Went for it on fourth down there because I knew it was going to be a touchdown game. Had a good play, and we didn't convert. And then, three of our best players on offense are out second half, and we had a couple D linemen out as well, and we just didn't play very well. Credit to them. I think they're the best team in our league to this point. I hadn't seen them all, but it's a good football team. So, Greg.
Start with the injuries. Severity of all of them?
Just a rash of head injuries, really, Greg. 4 of them in total. And I didn't talk to Vince because he was our trainer, because he was so busy after the game. I try to talk to him usually before I come up here, but he was tied up. But yeah, 4 of them at least.
Talk about the first half a little bit. I mean, you had chances. Turnovers, obviously.
Yeah, but defensively we did some good things. We didn't have to play very many snaps. But I thought we played the run pretty well in the first half. The first interception was unfortunate. It wasn't a great pass, got tipped. Second one, really a good play by them. We were in empty, and they pressured, and they had shown that the play zero behind it, and they bailed and played. Really didn't have enough in coverage, honestly. But our hot throw was in the flat, and they were sitting right there. And so, it's that turn. But I thought, we showed some real character the next 2 drives. We score, and I don't know how long that drive was, but it was, 75 yards at minimum. And then we get a stop, and we go and we march it and really control the game for those 2 drives. And then, it was fourth and about 1.5 yards. Felt like we were going to get 0. They pressured us but kind of dropped. But, Cole's open, and I don't know if Garrett didn't see him. I don't know when Garrett got hurt during that drive either, because he missed a couple things that were uncharacteristic, so I don't know when he was hurt. And I've got to – obviously I can't find out tonight, but I'll find out. But that was a pivotal play. But even if we tie that up, I'm not sure we got enough in the tank in the second half, even if it's 17-17 going in.
Defensively, they hit the 2 pass plays over 50 yards, 10.3 yards per pass. Just what did you see on some of the explosives that they had?
Yeah, the first one, on their first touchdown, I think it was their first offensive touchdown, is we're in quarters coverage and we just get ran by. Really, by design, that shouldn't happen. The second one on the angle route they threw to Giddens in the third quarter, it's a good play. It's a really good play versus that coverage. They executed it well. We should have been able to get it down. Shouldn't have been explosive. But I don't know where our pursuit was. I can't speak on that because I wasn't watching the backside. I saw he was to the single. It was a good play design, and we should have been able to get it down. It shouldn't have been a touchdown. Probably a first down.
Sorry. Just because of I guess we didn't know in the press box at the time the severity of the injuries or that the players were out until it was announced. Did you have any idea going to the locker room, like, this is going to be bad, we're going to lose these guys? Or was it?
No, I really didn't know the second. I didn't really know. Wyatt, I knew. Wyatt didn't. Yeah, Wyatt didn't play that entire last series. And he's our best guy up front. He's our leader on offense. He's an elite player. So he didn't play that last drive. So I knew him, but I did not know Jaheim and Garrett until we got into the locker room.
On the 4th and 1, like right before half, how many things are you taking into account? Are you analytics guy on the 4th down? Just kind of what do you
we were going into the game. We were going to be aggressive because it's a good team. We knew we were going to have to score touchdowns. They're first in the conference and one of the top teams nationally in rush defense. And it was 1.5 to 2. We felt like we had a good play, and we did. We had a good play. We had a touchdown play. We just didn't execute it. And like I said, I don't want to be too hard on our players on that, because I'm not sure when that injury happened, and I have no way to know, so I don't want to be too critical of him on that play. But it was the right play. Go for it. It's easy to retrospect to say it wasn't, but we weren't. It wasn't going to be a. It was going to be a game that had to have touchdowns to win, and so we just didn't execute it. But that doesn't take away from the decision.
Here's your coverage. We've talked about it several times this year, dropping to landmarks underneath.
Yeah.
And getting there. Was that the problem on some of those? Because they hit several of those 10, 15 yards worth.
Yeah, they did. And really they were completing them, not necessarily at 10 or 15, Kevin. They were completing them at 4 and 5. And it just puts you in, you're kind of, it's one of those, you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. Like, tried to play a lot of man early in the season, and we were giving up big plays. We gave up those two that he asked about earlier, but that hasn't been the case, as we got into conference play. But we've been getting dinked and dunked, and that's what happened tonight. And we got to go back to the drawing board, and because we can't consistently give up those, and we got them in some yardage tonight. I thought defensively they got after us in the third quarter, but I thought we played the run really well, and that was the goal. And going into it, this was a really odd game. Obviously I didn't know we'd throw a pick six. I didn't know we'd have all the injuries. But if you told me you're going to hold them to 114 yards rushing and we're going to run for 152, I'd have felt, I felt like we had a pretty good chance. But that's obviously not the way it played out.
What did you think of Nico? Obviously, he came in a tough
Yeah.
situation. But
Yeah, without watching it, we weren't real productive. Some of it's on him. It's hard when you go in and you play because you don't get the reps, and he was hurt, so he missed Tuesday's practice. He didn't even practice on Tuesday. So, he had one basic work day on Wednesday, and that was it. And so it's tough to say. We weren't real productive in the second half, so some of that was on him, some of it wasn't.
How do you keep these last couple of losses from eroding the self-confidence of the player?
Well, I think this is you just got to put it to rest. This one we'll watch a little bit of it because you got to learn. Like teams like Kansas State and Iowa State, who are both really good on defense. We played two elite defenses in a row, and we're beat up, but we haven't played as well. And both of them did some of the same things. And so some of our regular run game, and I'm talking when I say regular, meaning giving the ball to the running backs, we're not doing a very good job. We're not getting up to the second level with our offensive line. And then the third level is getting really down. They're getting in the box fast. And so we got to do some things schematically to give our guys better chances for sure. And then we've got to win some one-on-ones. I think it's a combination on offense. And then on defense, we were without some guys coming in. But I think that, we've got to continue to play the run well, but we've got to continue to mess with our coverages. We did some things that really helped us versus Kansas State and versus Oklahoma State and Iowa State and Kansas State both found some voids in our zone. And so we've got to get those things corrected. But we've got really good guys in the locker room. They're disappointed. Like they're disappointed. They realize that Kansas State really beat us in the second half. They're not in denial about that. They're very aware. But we got to get well, and then we got to give ourselves a chance. We're gonna have to practice smart. We're gonna have to practice really intelligently this week, and get well, and go out on the West Coast and put together a game.
Can you paint the picture at all of kind of the vibe in the locker room after the news was announced that Green, White, etc. were going to miss the game?
Yeah, you don't really talk about it. It's not like I didn't tell them before I broke the half. I just think it's kind of next man up. I think that the team usually follows. If I was to make a big deal about it, then they would feel like it's a big deal. It's no different. Like T.J. Jackson was really limited coming in the game. Hammond Russell was limited. Like Aiden Garnes didn't play. Aubrey Burks didn't play. But we didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about the guys that weren't going to play. It's more about, hey, we got to get the guys that are going to play ready. And so that's kind of how we treat it.
You know, the final margin tonight looks one way, but it sounds like you're saying this is not indicative of the state of the team or performance.
No, I mean, they beat us. I think the score's the score, Mike. You know, I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and defend the score, you know. I was trying to make a point with our team. I probably should have punted on the one where they scored, you know, like, so, and then they did us a favor taking a knee. But, I mean, they soundly beat us in the second half. You know, and they're a good football team, but I'm not trying to defend the score. They beat us, but we're pretty beat up, and I think if you're asking is the team severely down because we got beat, yeah, absolutely. We've lost 2 games in a row, but do I believe we'll have an issue getting them back up to play? No, you know, that's never been the case, and I don't believe it's the case now. We got really good character, we got good buy-in. We just didn't play very well. We got beat by a better team tonight. You know, and we've played a really tough schedule, and we're showing some of the wares of that. You know, everybody that we've played, with the exception of Albany, was either ranked at the time or ranked in the preseason. And we've played Kansas State, which was really physical. We've played Iowa State, which is really physical, 2 of the more physical teams in the country. Oklahoma State game, because how we ran the ball was really physical. The Kansas game, both teams running, was really physical. The Pitt game was really physical. The Penn State game was really, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's not like we're playing a bunch of these space games. Like, these are like, you know, it's tough, man. And like, that's why I'm real careful to ever like criticize our players, because like, this is a tough game. Like, it's a tough game. Like, I'd be real careful criticizing 17 to 22, 23-year-olds to put their body on the line. You can criticize me, that's fine. Like, I'm not backing down from that. I'm in charge of this. We underperformed, but I would be really careful of challenging just because how physical the game is. Like, these guys are putting their bodies at risk, you know, and we had some damage on that tonight.
Okay, thank you, Coach.